Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got an update review for you today. And this is a Bible that I reviewed about a year ago. It's the CSB Reader's Bible by Holman. And I wanted to circle back around and do a secondary review only because it's been about a year. And over this year's time period, I've actually read through the entire thing. So I wanted to show you kind of how the leather would hold up and the Bible itself would hold up over a year of day-to-day use. Now, this particular one was supposed to be a 90-day reading plan with a Bible buddy of mine, but, life happens, and 90 days kind of came and went, and that 90-day reading plan kind of turned into an 11-month reading plan. Now, I did use this Bible. I carried it to and from work every single day. I read it during lunchtime, and then I would read it at home too. So it was kind of a daily carry Bible for about 11 months. So I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys the leather, show you how it held up, show you how it broke in, and just kind of update a couple things that I failed to mention in the first video for anybody who's interested, only because this is the most viewed video on my channel. So hopefully if somebody's interested, they can see kind of how the leather would hold up. So we will go ahead and start by looking at the cover. Now I don't actually have any complaints with it. It has held up amazingly, given, a day-to-day use. I'll show you kind of the stitching. The stitching has held up very well. And we'll look at the spine here in a second. The spine is held up very well. I love the dry stamping again, because there's no gold or anything like that. There was nothing to wear away. So all of the dry stamping held up, despite being held every day. And we'll take a look at the back cover here. Now you can see this cover has definitely received some character. Look at the front here, and I'll try and get the light to kind of bounce off of it so you guys can see some of the character that it's picked up. Now, I would say the biggest contributor to this is the fact that my hands are always terribly rough. We lived up in the northern U.S. where it was always very cold for like 9 months out of the year. And because of that, my hands were always extremely dry. So one of the things I noticed is that like this leather almost like kind of, I don't know, my hands basically suck the moisture out of this leather. So you can see some like discoloration here where the leather has almost become like kind of dry and brittle. And I know normally people ask like, oh, well, what's the best way to preserve my Bible? And the best way normally is just, to have the oils from your hands rubbing into the leather. And that helps to preserve the leather. The problem is, what if there's no oils in your hand? You don't have anything to preserve the leather. So I don't know. In this instance, this might just be because of me, but you can see kind of these unusual kind of like wear patterns here and this lightning here. I don't know if that was because, my hands were sucking the oil out of the leather, or if that's just a normal wear and tear that you would see on this particular type of leather. Now, I did actually use like a restoration, kind of like a leather preservative, like a leather dressing on this Bible. I'll go ahead and put a link down for it below. And that did help it along a little bit, but there's certain areas, man, that they're just, it's just worn. It's just really worn out. And those are kind of the high traffic areas for me. I tend to kind of hold the Bible upright and rest it on things when I'm reading. So, this bottom edge is going to see a lot of use. But otherwise, I think it looks really good. It does have a lot of nice character to it. You can see some kind of, darks and lights and smooth spots and rough spots. And I just think it looks good. It looks like a well-used Bible. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the liner on the inside. Now, the liner held up great. The only thing I noticed is at the bottom there's a little bit of, I don't even know if the camera's picking it up, but there's like a little bit of kind of like wrinkling there on the liner. You might be able to see if I go like that. There you go. A little bit of wrinkling. But otherwise, the construction here held up great. There's no cracks or breaks or anything in the liner material. I think this one corner is the only one that kind of came loose a little bit. Like it might just need to be glued down, touched up with some glue, which I might do here in a little bit. But that was pretty much because I like playing with the edge of the Bible as I'm reading. Like it's just like maybe a nervous fidget that I do, or just kind of a thinking thing. So I was constantly kind of pulling at this corner and tugging at the edge here, which you can kind of see because there's a little bit of wear right there. So that was more on me, not so much the Holman's construction. We'll take a look at the back as well. Again, there's no rips or tears or anything. This held up really, really well. Just a little bit of crinkling from the bending of the cover. The art gilt held up exceptionally well. I think the only thing I did was one time I caught it with my keys in my hand as I was getting out of my car, and you might be able to see it like right there. There's a little mark, but otherwise it held up phenomenally well. I have no complaints with the gilt that they applied to this. It was fantastic. Ribbons turned out great. No issues with those. They're still smooth and nice. They didn't fray or anything like that. Yeah. So now, as far as the text goes, I didn't mark in this one. This was just a reader. So, the text held up great. I did notice that, like sometimes my hands would get a little bit clammy. And I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize in advance here. I don't even know how to tell you guys this. I'm one of these guys. So apologies in advance if you are not one of these people that does this to your Bible. But this, I feel like, is a testament to how well built the Bible is. But I'm one of these guys. So, so I would do this. And if my hands were a little bit clammy, I would notice that the paper would wrinkle ever so slightly. But the good thing about it is, I would give it just a couple seconds to kind of air out and the wrinkle would kind of go away on its own, or I might kind of rub it a little bit and the wrinkle would just kind of disappear. I don't think that I had any kind of like permanent, moisture marks or humidity marks or anything on any of the pages. So the text just held up amazingly well. It was great. Getting back to this, I will say that yes, this is another great thing about this Bible. The construction is amazing. So I was able to do this, and I never felt any kind of hesitation about doing it. I didn't feel like I was going to break the spine. I know a lot of people go nuts. This drives a lot of people nuts. You're going to break the spine of the Bible, and maybe that would be the case if there was like an Oxford Hollow. But back here, I mean, there's no kind of support structure in there. I don't think. I mean, it does do that sometimes when you lay it down. And I can see that there's like some paper or some reinforced, some tape. I don't even know. I'm not a bookbinder. So there's something back there kind of glued to the back of the spine. But it just looks like a piece of paper to me. And it certainly did not break or crunch or anything. Perfectly fine to do this with your Bible if you feel so inclined to do so. I know some people are kind of freaky about touching the paper, but I'm fine as long as, your hands are clean and you're not like profusely sweating. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. The cover, definitely. Okay, let's go back to the cover. Since this is an update video, otherwise, obviously the words would be more important than the cover, but this is more of a just how did the wear and tear of the Bible kind of hold up. But the cover definitely got much, much softer. I wish I had one made from this same leather, but I think the ones that I had I gave away. So sorry, I don't have any like new Bibles to compare it to in the same leather. But the leather did break in very, very nicely. It is very, let's see, we can do that. As they say in Texas, we rolled it up like a quesadilla, right? I know, fellow reviewer says that. But yeah, you can definitely roll it up as like a quesadilla. Here, I'll show it to you. Nice and circular. Let me show you. I guess I know Botate does this kind of method where you pinch the spine to show how flexible it is. But this certainly got very, very flexible with use, and it was very noticeable very quickly. The more I used it, the more I could tell that it was getting more and more kind of flexible with use. It was a pretty quick thing. It wasn't like, oh, years and years and years went by. It was like a matter of like a month of using it, and it was certainly a lot more flexible than it was originally. And now it's to the point like when I hold it open, I was just reading like Revelation, and again, I'm doing my fold over like this, but like it started getting kind of like real floppy as I was holding it. So just a thing. I'm trying to think what else. One thing that was kind of weird to me, I left it in my car only once. I usually take pretty good care of my Bibles, and that's why like the gilt looks so good. And I don't have anything crazy going on with it. So I don't like ever leave it in the car, only because like not even extreme heat can really affect these Bibles. But one time I left it in the car, and it was in the passenger seat in the sun, and it was only like, I want to say it was like a 50-degree day. It wasn't even hot. But when I came back, I guess because of the dark leather, it did absorb some of the heat. And when I came back, the front cover was like that. It was like all bowed up like that. And I'm like, what? And I got so worried because I'm like, is it going to be permanently stuck like that? Thankfully, no. After a little while, it did settle back down. But just an aside, I'm assuming it's because of the material difference between the vinyl paste down here and the leather. The vinyl, when it gets heated up, it shrinks. So I'm guessing that's what happened. It just got hot and the vinyl started to shrink and it kind of curled it up. So just be aware of that. I would not recommend leaving your car, at least like one of these in your car. I mean, if you have like a paperback or a hardback, that's fine. Nothing's going to happen to it. But if it's like a nice leather cover like this, I would not leave it in your car. Just an aside. All right, let me go ahead and get you guys some measurements and some things. And then I'll speak a little bit to the kind of the translation and like how I felt about reading it. But measurements first. So let's check out the fonts because I think I failed to do that last time. So we'll get this H and his right here. And it is about a 10-point font there in the H and him. And we'll get an M. Let's see, is there an M? And May. And that looks to be a little bit bigger than a 10-point font. It's about an 11.5-point font for the lowercase in comparison to Times New Roman. So about a 10-point uppercase and an 11.5-point lowercase. This font and the layout and the spacing, it's what's called leading, that's the spacing between the lines, the wide margin, all of that helped to make this an outstanding reader, you guys. I have never been one to sit down and just like read through an entire book. Before I started reading the Bible, I really didn't even enjoy reading. And I certainly have never sat down and read 1,800 pages before. And I've never actually even sat down and like read the entire Bible all the way through kind of in one sitting. I've like piecemealed it, reading portion here, portion there. But this time I just kind of sat down and dedicated myself, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to sit down and read this one Bible. This is the only thing I'm going to read, and I'm going to read it from start to finish. And this Reader's Edition made it absolutely just a blast to read from. I really enjoyed it. It was very easy to get immersed in the text. I had no issues, getting distracted with anything, any sort of notes or any kind of just anything. It was like sitting down and reading like a classic novel. It was great. Again, not that I'm much of a reader, but it was great. It was a great reading experience. Now, as far as the CSB translation goes, I absolutely adored it as well. I'm typically like an NASB fan slash, I've read quite a bit. NASB, NIV, King James, NLT. Those are kind of my wheelhouses. ESV, like those are the main ones that I deal with. I certainly, this has been kind of my favorite reading translation. Let me phrase it like that. As far as like deep studies go, I don't think I would like rely heavily on this one. Not that you couldn't do it, but I wouldn't do it. I'd prefer other translations over it. But as far as like casual reading goes, definitely this one. I've read the NIV before almost in its entirety, and the NLT, a good chunk of that. And I definitely prefer this one. To me, the NLT the wording sometimes gets a little bit weird. I don't know what it is with the NLT. Maybe it's me. But I feel like sometimes the wording gets a little bit clunky. With this one, though, it was smooth reading and smooth sailing the whole entire way. It was, it just read like a modern text. I don't know. It was just great. It was easy to understand. I didn't have any issues with it. So definitely, if you are looking at the CSB translation, I would definitely recommend it. I know my word isn't worth much, but I would recommend it as a YouTuber. Let me go ahead and get an exterior measurement here, and then we'll move on. And this measures in at 9 and 3/8 of an inch, 9 and 3/8 of an inch tall. And then we have about 5 and 5/8 of an inch wide. And then for thickness, it is 1 and a little more than 1.5. Just what is that? I don't even know. Wait, 1 and 9/16 inch wide, inch thick. Sorry, 1 and 9/16 inches thick. For the measurements on this Bible, I'm trying to think. I don't think I want to do anything else with it. If you guys are looking for like a comparison, I do have a video of the King James Version Paragraph Bible done by local church Bible publishers. And that is a great addition if you guys are interested in a reader for King James Version. Great for like a low-cost reader. I know that Cambridge does the Clarion, but Cambridge has just gotten like a little loopy with their pricing lately. They're getting pretty high. And that local church Bible's Paragraph Bible can be had, I think, for like $62. So I have a review on that I have a review on that on my channel. I'll put the link here. Otherwise, Bible buddies, if you have any questions on this or any questions in general about life or anything, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, Bible buddies, please, if you could, like and subscribe. I will talk to you later. Bye.